There's a silent killer in our garden. Sometimes I forget about him and then he raises his ugly head again. It's root knot nematodes. So if you remember last week, we had cucumbers and eggplants in this spot and was ready to take them up out of the ground, and we cleaned up yesterday, and what did we find? Most of our plants were severely infected with root knot nematodes. So we got to come up with a strategy how we're going to manage these root knot nematodes. And we're going to go over that today. I maybe give you some insights on how it can help you, because if you garden and you live in the southern United States, more than likely you got nematodes, and we've got to manage them. We can't get rid of them completely. It's just something we got to live with, and we can manage them. But we're going to have to go about it with a specific strategy to keep our populations down so that we don't get a lot of damage. Now look at them cucumber roots right there. You see all those gnarly knots on that? That is just tremendous damage for nematodes. And that's one reason our plants didn't last as long as maybe we wanted to. I attribute it to so much rain that we had. And we did have a lot of rain. And I said, well, we got some mildew and some things like that, and our crops are just going out. Problem is, we had a bad nematode problem too. Now our eggplants, not so bad that we do have damage on there. If you can see there, you see those little gnarly knots right there? That is root knot nematodes on our eggplants as well. Not as severe as our cucumbers, but a lot of these crops are susceptible to root knot nematodes. So what is a root knot nematodes? It's actually considered a pathogen. It's really microscopic worms that infect our root system there and feed us off our roots of our plants. But it's really not considered an insect because they are microscopic. In the university system, people that deal with diseases are the people that deal with the nematodes, not the entomologists that normally deal with insect problems. So it's kind of viewed as more of a pathogen or a disease than it is anything else, although it is a microscopic worm type that does our damage there. You know, there's a lot of plants, we're gonna go over the plants that are susceptible to this right here, but in the warmer months here in the south is when they really flourish, is during the growing season when we're growing our plants. If you're growing a garden, and I've been growing this garden for 20 years, eventually you're gonna realize you got a problem there and you start having to work within that. And that's where I've been, and I'm like everybody else. I forget about it every now and then, and I attribute some of my losses to something else, and then I go to dig them up and I realize, well, I had such a nematode problem. But like I said earlier, a lot of times nematodes will cause your plants to go out early. You'll notice that you just don't get the longevity out of them that you thought you should have. And not only that, but we will lose plants to nematodes. Now, okra, to me, is probably the worst thing in the garden for root knot nematode infestation. And if you got your okra plants out there for very long, you may notice that every now and then you're starting to lose a plant. It looks like some type of wilt. It could actually be nematodes. These nematodes actually starve the plant and stress that plant so it can kill it, or either it can make it so it doesn't produce, or it looks real raggedy, or it lends itself so that plant is prone to more insect problems and disease problems. Just like us humans, when we get down, something's working on us, then we become more susceptible to be sick. Plants are the same way. So that's kind of an idea of how these root knot nematodes affect our garden. So here's a list of plants that we grow in our vegetable gardens that is most susceptible to root knot nematode issues. Tomatoes, cucumbers, squash, okra, and okra being the worst for me, eggplant, beans, carrots, melons, and even lettuce can have problems. Sometimes you can have problems with onions, potatoes, and I'm talking about Irish potatoes, and some varieties of sweet potatoes. Now, there are some work being done on some resistant varieties of tomatoes and peppers and other things, but I'm gonna give you a specific example of this right here. We have varieties that are resistant somewhat to root knot nematodes in tomatoes, and that is Big Beef, Celebrity, those type varieties. Let me see, Big Beef, Celebrity, and I think Better Boy also. Those are resistant to nematode damage. That does not mean they're not going to have it, but that means they will survive better out there. They're more resistant to it than any other varieties. And just like sweet potatoes, our Covington variety and our Moussaka variety is more resistant to nematodes than any other variety out there. So when we do know we have a nematode problem, and we're trying to work in what varieties we want to plant, we definitely want to take in consideration nematode resistance of particular varieties, because overall tomatoes and sweet potatoes are susceptible to nematode damage, But if we can pick out one of those varieties that does have some resistance to us, it's going to help us in the long game. All right, so what is the strategy? What are we going to do about this problem? Well, here it is, late June. We pulled up a lot of our summer or our late spring crops, and we had that issue. What do we do now? There's a few different options. One of them is called solarization, and that's when you take clear plastic, put down, cover the edges right there, and you leave it 4 to 6 weeks in the summertime, and it pretty much bakes or kills those nematodes. It knocks down the population. You're not going to take them all out. That is one strategy that will work, and if you're not familiar with that term, solarization, you can look it up. I'm not a huge fan of it because basically you're baking that soil air and you're killing your microbes, you're burning your compost, your organic matter up, killing off your earthworms. But it's definitely a strategy you can use to lower your nematode population. But let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to plant a crop in here that the nematodes don't like, and I'm going to try to starve that population down a little bit. Now here is some strategies or some things you can use to plant in here behind those plants that were infected with nematodes to starve them out some. We can use a cover crop such as brown top millet, sorghum, Sudan grass. Nematodes don't like those. We could come in here and plant those, and that would get us by to the fall time, and that would starve our populations down. Some more things we can do is we can plant something in here like zinnias. Nematodes don't like zinnias, and zinnias are a perfect plant to put in to starve those nematodes back, and they love the heat. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come here and plant zinnias, and I'm going to plant a mix. Now there's a couple of 3 different mixes I'd recommend you using. It's not very expensive. One of them is our dwarf zinnia mix. Another one is our California Giants mix. It makes those big zinnias. And another one is our cactus zinnia mix. Has a little different texture or shape of the leaves. Any of those work, and any of those are fairly, you know, the seeds are not all that expensive. So we're going to come in here, we're going to plant that. Now that's going to get us by till fall. These zinnias should last for the next 6-8 weeks to the end of August. Well, the end of August, we're going to be ready to start our fall garden. And then we need to plant plants back in here that the nematodes don't like. And that list includes broccoli, greens, and cowpeas, specifically crowd or cowpeas. And also most of our greens, such as our turnips and our mustards and things like that. So this gives us time to buy in to the fall where we don't increase that root knot nematode. We actually starve them out, and look, and we get to enjoy the beautiful flowers, for cut flowers. Our pollinators love them. So that's a great strategy. All right, so now our zinnias are starting to go down. It's the end of August. We're getting ready to plant a fall crop. Zippers, any of your crowd or cowpeas will work really well because the nematodes don't like those. And I love growing my cowpeas in the fall of the year. So that's another reason to use those. Broccoli. Man, we all love broccoli. So we could plant our broccoli in here, and that's going to starve out those nematodes. Now, if you got a severe problem and you really don't want to plant a lot of fall crop, here's a great strategy to use in that fall, and I'm talking about September, October. We can use what we call a biofumigant, such as Caliente mustard that you see right here. This mustard was specifically designed to reduce nematode populations. The way this is used is you broadcast it, plant it thick, and at about 10% bloom, when that Caliente starts blooming, at about 10%, we want to cut it up, hair it into the ground, and it gases up, and it kills a lot of our bad pathogens in our soil, including those root knot nematodes. This specific mustard was designed just to help us with these kind of things, and they classify them as biofumigants. It's a great organic way to get those root knot nematode populations down. Now our mustards don't like to grow in hot weather. That's the reason we're going to plant some nematode starving plants out here for the next couple months to get us by to that point. And I'm using zinnias, but you can use the cover crop as brown top millet or sorghum Sudan grass. Anyway, let's get to that point in the fall when we start doing that other. We're going to plant things that we can use there, cowpeas, broccoli, all those different things, greens. But we can also use that Caliente mustard as a biofumigant to get our populations down. Now, we know we got a problem here. So next year, we want to come here with some nematode resistant varieties, or we want to plant a crop in here that the nematodes don't like. We've really got to manage these nematodes. We're never going to get rid of them. We want to keep the populations down so we can still grow a great garden and have minimal damage. Some of my plots are worse than others, and I know that, and we're just going to have to deal with it. So rotation is going to be your best friend controlling these nematodes. Also, plant those crops in there when we notice we do have high populations of those nematode starving type plants such as zinnias, using our biofumigants, adding a lot of compost. And the reason we want to add a lot of compost is that helps our plant overcome some of these nematodes. So good organic matter, managing your soil health is going to help those plants overcome those nematodes somewhat. All those things right there is going to help us keep that silent killer at bay so that he didn't mess with our harvest and we can still grow a good garden.